What's up, everybody? I want to talk about something that might be a little boring when it comes to fishing or often not talked about, but is really important to me and probably all of you guys when it boils down to it. I mean, how many of us have almost caught that fish only to have it broken off, or had a line that probably had the poundage you needed but was a little bit too big, so it scared some of the other fish away and you might have missed a bite. I mean, that's some of us, most of us maybe. I know I've had situations, especially in the beginning of my fishing journey, where I just wasn't presenting the bait right, or I wasn't imparting the right action on a bait, and I wasn't sure why. And when I looked in JDM fishing, one of the things was fishing line, especially in a lot of the forums and the groups that I'm in for Facebook. A lot of the fishing line weight and diameter had a lot to do with what action it imparted on the bait. And some baits needed to have lighter line so that it could impart that right action that it was intended to have. And so I journeyed through all the fishing lines. I mean, from American lines like Trilene to spider wire, to just all kinds of American lines, Berkeley, Fire Nano. And then when I went into the JDM world, I mean, it was something that was very, very new to me and eye-opening, but it was really cool because I was able to find line at a smaller diameter, smaller poundage that often tested a lot better. And I mean, I dipped my toes first into, Sunline, FC Sniper, Shooter, stuff like that. But quickly, I realized that in Japan, people are using even something else. There's different, better line in Japan that they're using, and I wanted to get my hands in on that. And so KK Japan first introduced me to Jackal line, which, as all of you guys know who watch my videos, I'm just a huge Jackal fanboy, like huge. So the fact that Jackal made their own lines was super exciting. And so the first was Jackal had 3 tiers: Regnum, Red Spool, and they had braid, which I've never been able to find, but they mostly made fluoro. And so the fluoro was interesting. I was getting anywhere between 14 to 16 pound lines for tests. And I mean, I went through YouTube videos watching like at what point would a line snap. A lot of that matters, but it doesn't. I mean, you have your drag, your rod action, like there's tons of other important factors, whether you're fishing in heavy cover or not. And so I kind of, through my journey, I condensed it to 2 rules. How much does it fray, and how much water will that take on? And the take on water is important for winter fishing, not so much summer fishing. But I bought tons of lines from Jackal to Evergreen to Sunline, and I've settled on 2 brands. One of them is Jackal, specifically the BFS spec or BF spec. Now this line, pound for pound, especially in the summer, I would put it against any other line. It just outperforms everything that I've used. It does well, and it is thin, and it just, even at fraying, it just lasts fish. And I mean, I've gone out there in rocky places and just fished until I literally snapped my line. Now that was with 8 pound BFS and 6 pound BFS. I have bought something of 12 pound, although this is 10 and this is 6. And those are just my 2 favorite. The 6 is for true BFS fishing. That's just my sweet spot that I found between the 5, 6, and the 8. And the 10, they make a 12, but I just prefer the 10 because it's just a smaller diameter. The 12 is a 3 and the 10 is a 2.5. So quite a drastic drop, and then not a huge drop when you go from the 10 to the 8. It's only 2 diameter wise. So I like the 10. It's a super sweet spot. So that is my first brand recommendation, which is the Jackall BFS Spec. I love it. You can find it on KK Japan, no issues there. The other one, I'm not gonna 100% tell you guys where to find it just because it did take me a while, but it is Applaud line. Now, Applaud, specifically Ultra GTR, I had a chance to make friends with a JDM fisherman that was studying stateside. He put me onto this, and the Jackall BFS Spec is a fluoro line. This, I'm not sure what it is, but technically it's a nylon line, is what they call it. Over here we would call it a mono. It's some kind of hybrid mono line made by Sanyo, and the Applaud GTR series specifically, pound for pound, when it comes to heavy cover, when it comes to winter fishing, it frays and takes on water, and it allows expansion from freezing and unfreezing so much. Outside of having to snap it because I got snagged on a rock or something too far to retrieve, I have never had a line break with this, ever. And I got super excited because for the longest time I was fishing in 14 pounds, which is really good. And the spools, they come in 600 meters. So this spool will last me forever. And so I only got 2. But I got super excited because I was actually able to find this fishing line for BFS fishing in 12, which is really cool because now I have a smaller diameter, but still the same quality from Sanyo GTR. So if you guys can do some digging, probably some eBay stuff or just research on the internet, you guys can find this line, 600 meters, 14, 12 pounds, 16 pounds. It's gonna last you forever. It's a great line. Now there is a bonus line that I just started experimenting with last year, specifically on my BFS setup, and it's still a mono line. It's still made by Sanyo. It's part of their GTR series. The first one that I showed you was the Ultra. This is the nylon spec or N spec, and it's the HM standing for hard medium. It's performed very well. I haven't had any line breaks. I've fished the 10 pound and I've caught things from pike to bass to carp. No line breaks, nothing like that. Cold, warm waters, hasn't had any issues. I just haven't had enough time behind it yet. So I'm not 100% sure on how I feel about it. It is clear, whereas the Ultra is a dark green. Not sure if you guys can see it, but it's this green, mossy green, I guess you could call it. So the clear is an advantage. I find that in the water, it does give off like a blue hue from the reflection. So I'm not 100% sure. I'm not like a reflection expert. I'm not sure if the fish can see that. Haven't had an issue with this. Have caught plenty of fish on this, but not enough hours behind it to like fully have my backing. So for now on BFS, it's still the Jackall BFS BF spec at 6 and 10 pounds. But I did get an 8 pound because that is one of the lowest tests they go for this. I did get an 8 pound on the GTR HM, and I'm gonna test it on a BFS rod reel setup. And so I just for BFS fishing, for power fishing, I mean, I'll put this on my Shimano jig setup, which would be my Exense DC reel. That's where I have all my jigs setups and my heavier baits and all that. I'll still put 12-pound GTR Ultra, no issues whatsoever. So I'm pretty happy with this line. So again, check it out, KK Japan Lures. They'll hook you up. They have some of the old school packaging left. They did pretty much, it's going to be expensive no matter where you can get it from, but the packaging did change and you do lose out on 20 meters. I think, yeah, this new packaging for the BFS spec is 80 meters, whereas the old packaging of BFS spec was 100 meters. And so he's got one of each left, under 5 and 6 pounds. I highly recommend either new or old packaging. You do get a little bit more bang for your buck though on the older packaging. So if you are looking for line, getting ready for this season coming up, or you just want to try new lines, like I would scoop those two up right now and just try them on spinning or BFS setups, you know. So again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll be making some more videos coming up. So again, appreciate you guys liking and subscribing. Have a good day.